Yo guys, what is going on? Blossom is back and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives. Now upon us is the Pagani Huayra R Finals, but I think I'm not the only one that would say this, and I think some of you may agree. The main highlight this weekend in Top Drives isn't really the prize car. Unless you are Sauber and an Italian collector, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to devalue the Pagani. It is absolutely amazing. I love this car and I really want it as well. And it takes a lot for something to be more hype than the prize car. But I think that there actually is something that's more hype than the Pagani Huayra R this weekend. And that is the packs that you need to open to get this prize car. I gotta say, this is one of the best Tri-Series final packs, in my opinion, ever. It's like up there with, you know, one of my absolute favorites. What was it? Like German World Expo rear wheel drive. Like, it's up there. It is an elite pack. But before we get into that, as you know, in this series, I always give you two different tier lists: how good the car is in the final and how good the car is in a open and general standpoint. So first of all, let me show you what the track sets are going to be. You can see them over here. I'm not going to be talking about them too much because anybody can check, but basically there's one drag dry, or one drag asphalt, not dry, but one drag asphalt, one twistier asphalt in the wet, and then 3 off roads. I'm currently running this, so I have 2 Moabs. One is completely upgraded. The other one, I don't really plan to fully upgrade. What I'm going to do is I'm going to max the handling, which is the most important thing, and that's going to be able to beat most of the Ultras and some of the Epics already. And then, you know, I'll just keep it at 113. If I need more upgrades into it, then fine, I'll do it. But for the most part, I'm just going to leave it there. We'll see how it goes. I also have my maxed out Hyundai Ioniq. Now, this I upgraded in the future. I mean, with the future in mind. So, although 323 is better than 233 on the Canyon, which, you know, is a track set in this final, I think I'm in a position where I'm able to afford a loss to this car, the same car on the Canyon, because I have this, and I also have the handling fully upgraded. Much like the Moab, probably just gonna go 113. If I need to speed upgrade anything, I'll do it, but for the most part, we'll keep it at that. And my only concern is this. For the test bowl, the only car I got is the 3.7 V6. As long as it doesn't lose by 100 on the test bowl, I think I should be okay. I do have a slightly better option for the test bowl, which is the Commodore, but this would probably hurt if I use it on the 0 to 100, or I think it was the other, yeah, both the 0 to 100s right there, the 0 to 100 and the 0 to 100 to 0. I think there's a test bowl as well. So yeah, it'll be pretty, and the 1 mile, not to mention. So, because the 0 to 60 on this thing is pretty bad, but the top speed is high, so it's like, I don't know, man. The 0 to 60 on this is low. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that's basically what I'm planning on running. But yeah, again, mine is 233 because it is the better car compared to 323 on City Street Small and City Street Medium. Like I said, small and medium is not in this final, but I'm kind of upgrading this with the future in mind as well. So if you want the short story, before I even get into how good the pack is, it's amazing, and I'm gonna open one of them right now. I'm gonna open this one right here, the 23% chance. I got a 20% chance at an epic, 3% chance of legendary. Let's go for it. Let's see what we get. If anything, I actually want an ultra rare, and if I do get an ultra rare, I want the Sonata. That would be great for the test bowl. Come on, ultra rare. Okay, well, we don't really care about that, but yeah, let's see what's gonna be next. I'm gonna be interested, but definitely like one of the best Tri-Series final packs ever, and I'll get a more in-depth review about it after this pack when we get into the tier list. So let's get it. Okay, I mean, I don't have that, so it's new, and it's 4-wheel drive, and it's standard, so you can't really fault the pack. I'm gonna be honest, you cannot fault this pack. It's so good. I think that's brand new. I have the other one. The other Kona, which is like the gold Kona or whatever it was. I already have it maxed too. This one, oh, so this one actually is better. So that's actually a huge dub. Okay, cool. Anyway, let's get into how good this pack is in a general sense and in a Tri-Series sense. Alright guys, so we're going to start off with how useful these cars are in the final. Now, the best possible hand, in my personal opinion, is what you see above. So it's going to be the Hyundai WRC, the Hyundai i20 RS, and the Mitsubishi Lancer as your 3 off-road cars. And then for your on-road cars, I'm going with the Ioniq 677 as well as the Hyundai Sonata. So that's the best possible hand in my opinion. In terms of prize car winning cars, like I said, it's a brand new update. You know, these these cars are new. I don't expect you guys to have the best of the best hands, and I don't expect the top 10 to have the best of the best hands. So with that being said, I think a lot of cars are going to be able to win you this prize car. So in prize car winning, but not the best possible hand, I have every car that you see over here. Possible prize car winning are all of these, and then unlikely are kind of just the off-road tire cars that aren't four-wheel drive, that are still pretty good. The slower standard tire cars as well, and then obviously Go See a Doctor are kind of the all-surface tire cars. The all-surface tire cars are the ones that are going to suffer the most. This definitely is an off-road final. There's no gravel up for plays. So honestly, if you get an all-surface tire car, that is the worst case scenario from this pack. But really, you're not looking for these ultra rares. You're looking for the epics and above, where there's almost very little wrong that can go wrong, I guess. Anyway, let's move on to how useful these cars are in a general sense. Alright, so here we go. Where do we begin? Well, we're actually beginning with the RQ61 Hyundai over here. Now, it has a decent top speed, but at the end of the day, like, come on, outside of this Tri-Series final, these rear-wheel drive standard tire cars with like high-ish top speeds are not going to matter at all. So yeah, the Hyundai Genesis, honestly, 84 handling when you max it out, it ain't much. It's honestly a pernicious ulcer. I mean, yeah, 5-seater saloon, that's always pretty cool. But at the end of the day, it's not gonna really bring much to the table. So I'm gonna give it pernicious ulcer, to be honest. We don't even know what the MRA numbers are on this yet. At least it's not on Top Drive's Club, so there's not much I can say about that. But I don't think it has like bonkers MRA or anything like that. Moving on to the Konas, I think the Konas are both gonna be a frequent provider. The bottom line is this: if you're four-wheel drive and you're standard tires and you can get over 80 handling, over 81 handling, you're gonna be pretty good, pretty decent. Like, you can't really go wrong with that. So those cars, I mean, they're gonna be solid. They're definitely gonna be solid performers by right. I think they're gonna be frequent providers. MRA, I mean, it really isn't a number that you care about for a four-wheel drive standard tire car in twisty conditions on city streets. But if you want to know, the Kona 1.6, the blue one, is 55, and the gold one is still unknown according to Top Drive's Club. Now, the all-surface tire cars, I'm gonna be judging all these all-surface tire cars how I always judge all-surface tire cars. Basically, if you don't handle, you're probably garbage. So yeah, anything like 71 is just gonna get hot garbage immediately. This one's okay, the Santa Cruz, I'm gonna give it frequent provider because it's 75 and it's RQ61, so it's not that expensive to use. It actually handles better than the Hyundai Santa Cruz 2.5 turbo as well. But obviously that has a lower 0 to 60. I'm going to give both of them like frequent provider status. They handle okay. This has 58 MRA, and the RQ61 does not have MRA listed down on Top Drive's Club yet. But since that they are the better performing cars in terms of handling, I'm going to give them frequent provider because obviously they are going to be the better cars in this update. But also, it's a completely new niche. It's a brand new country, and it's a major country as well, Korea. This isn't like Malaysia where, yeah, it's a brand new country, but you're not going to be using Malaysian cars much, but Korean cars have a lot of potential. So, considering that these are the best of their niche in a brand new country, in a brand new playing field, they are going to be useful. I'm going to give them frequent provider. Next up is the Santa Fe. Honestly, like, pernicious ulcer. It handles a little bit better than the other Santa Fe and the Palisade, but the handling is just garbage, and it's so much more expensive to use. It's 62 RQ. I get it. It's kind of like in that situation where it's like the Infinity, where the 0 to 60 is low-ish, but I mean 5.4 0 to 60 when you 323 it. I mean, I guess if you drag spec it, it's like 5.2. Still just not that impressive. We don't know the MRA numbers either because it's not listed on Top Drive's Club. Next up is the Sonata. Now this is a high top speed, a great car for the Tri-Series final, but that's going to be it. The MRA on this is actually okay, 72, so I guess, I don't know, you can judge if that is okay or not for a rear-wheel drive standard or a front-wheel drive standard tire car with a high top speed. I think 72 MRA is average, okay-ish, not good, not bad, I think it's honestly a pernicious ulcer, though. I'm not going to give it frequent provider. At the end of the day, like, it's front-wheel drive standard tire. It's a mono drive standard tire car. It's not going to get you that far. So I'm going to give it pernicious ulcer. Next up is the Veloster Grappler. Now, this one, I believe, yes, it's high ground clearance. Because of that, I'm going to give it daily driver. Front-wheel drive off-road, most of front-wheel drive off-road tire cars are medium ground clearance. or low ground clearance. Not all of them are high, so it has that niche, and it's also pretty decent. The handling is pretty good. Motocross car, definitely your motocross car for the front wheel drive off-road meta. So I'm gonna give it daily driver for sure. Next up is the Mazda 323 GT Turbo. This is like really good on the slalom, and I think it's because it's really freaking light. I'll show you the times because I do have it for the ultra rares. Yeah, so if you check this out right now, yeah, the slalom tests, very impressive compared to like RQ63s, 62s, even against the Subaru Levorg. It's the best car there. I mean, obviously, if I bring in the Honda Legend, then I mean, it still is the best car. But obviously, if I bring in the 420i, then the 420i is going to be the best one. So we'll take these two cars away. When you take those two cars away, the Legend and the 420, the 323 GT Turbo is really impressive. I don't know why the slalom time is as good as it is, but it just is. I think it's, you know, something to do with the fact that it's so incredibly light. So it is a very decent performer, and because of that, I'm going to give it daily driver. Now, next up is the Mazda 6. Now, the Mazda 6, I'm going to bump it above the Sonata because it's cheaper to use and it handles better. Simple as that. Now we have, I want to talk about these two real quick. I think they're both going to be daily driver. Both these four-wheel drive standard tire Mazdas, the CX-50 and the CX-90, are both really impressive. They're both four-wheel drive. They're both standard tires. They both handle really well. Again, you know, you saw the comparison. They're nothing against the Legend, and they're nothing against the BMW 420. But when you take those two cars away, they are the ones winning the majority of the races. So they are pretty good, and I mean, it makes sense. They're 63 and 60 compared to the BMWs and the Honda Legend 64. So I think they're rated pretty much correctly. The CX-60, however, I would say a little worse because it handles the same as the CX-90, but the 0 to 60 is a huge difference as well. So I'm going to give that frequent provider. And last but not least is the CX-7. I mean, I'm going to give it a freaking provider. Again, it's four-wheel drive, it's standard, it hits 80, just 80, and I can't really put it at pernicious ulcer because although it's the weakest of all the four-wheel drive standard tire Mazdas, I mean, it knows that it is. It's not like it's a scam to use in terms of RQ, it's RQ50, you know what I mean? So it is where it is, and that's completely fine, in my opinion. Next up is the CX 2.5 Turbo. I'm also going to give that frequent provider just because it handles less compared to its competition as well, a little bit more expensive to use. In the CX-7, I think all these cars are just kind of frequent provider, rightly rated kind of situations. Nothing that will kind of shock you too much. It's the same thing with the CX Cross Sport. I mean, I think they're all kind of just in the same situation. Honestly, the Cross Sport, I think I would actually bump it down to pernicious ulcer. It's the same RQ as the 2.5 Turbo, two handling less. Yeah, I'm going to bump it down. I feel like this is the car that's going to get used the least out of all these four-wheel drives and entire Mazdas. Next up is the Eclipse. I think the Eclipse is going to end up being okay. The MRA is not bad. It's actually 80, so I'm going to give it frequent provider. It's got the top speed to boot it as well, so it's going to be decent. Honestly, pretty good for the final two. Next up is the L200 Triton Sport R. Part of me actually wants to put it in Der Kaiser, and you know what? I'm going to do so. It's four-wheel drive, it's off-road tires, and it gets over 80 handling. The only issue with this car, though, is that it is heavy, right? So it's in a similar situation with the, I think it's a Ford Ranger Raptor or whatever it is, but the Ranger Raptor is a lot heavier. I think it's like 500 kgs heavier. So the L200, although heavy, still is under 2 tons. So I think it is definitely a lot better than that Ranger Raptor anyway. Moving on is the Lancer, frequent provider. The main thing about it is you can't really go wrong with a four-wheel drive off-road tire, a rear-wheel drive off-road tire car. But compared to its competition, it handles the least at 76. And because of that, I'm only going to give it frequent provider. Next up is the all-surface tire cars. Now, the all-surface tire cars, again, like I said, if they don't handle very well, I'm not going to rate them very highly. And for the Pajero as well as the Outlander, the best I'm going to give them, honestly, is pernicious ulcer until I know a little bit more. Because the main issue about these all-surface tire cars is that there are not a lot of times. As you can see, even if I go on Top Drive's club, like, there aren't a lot of times. And I'm not going to blame anyone. It's nobody's fault. I own the Pajero, but I can't put in times myself because I don't have them upgraded, and I don't expect people to upgrade these cars because in general all surface tire cars are always just less useful. So, you know, there are not a lot of times with these cars on Top Drive's records, and that's probably because not a lot of people are upgrading them because not a lot of people care. Also, his tires, like, who the hell cares? What we care about are off-road tires. So, yeah, for the most part, a very superficial judgment from me, but it's just handling based. I'm going to move the Outlander up one because it's 74, but that's about it. Just all handling based. Moving on to the Epics, the Ioniq is going to be a daily driver. I think it's pretty decent, 85 handling. But what is better is obviously the Ioniq 6. Oh god, the names, dude, they're not fun, man. How did we go from Hellcat Charger, Hellcat Challenger to Hyundai Ioniq 5 77k WH 4-wheel drive and Ioniq 6 77k? It's so boring. I don't know, but anyway, this car is really, really good. I'll show you the stats right now. We'll get rid of this real quick. Yeah, look at this, dude. It's absolutely insane. The Hyundai Ioniq 77 is just taking names. Whether it's the 323 or the 223 variant, like, these cars are just amazing. They're just so strong. These two have so much green. They're taking the wins away from the Mercedes-Benz E400, which is a fantastic car, and they're rivaling things like the I-Pace and the CT6. And yeah, it's just really good. And also peep the 2.5 turbo with the really impressive slalom time of 30:30. Still not as good as the Caterham though. So, you know, it's good, but not that good. So anyway, moving back to the tier list again, that is a amazing car. The Moab, I'm gonna give it a daily driver. Again, 4-wheel drive off-road, gets AT handling, got a low 0 to 60, but in the grand scheme of things, compared to all 4-wheel drive off-road tire cars, which I would most likely put in Der Kaiser, this thing just falls short of the mark because it just doesn't handle as well as like the Bronco R, for example. So yeah, daily driver, still good, but not as good. Mazda 3 2.5, again, it's like really good for what it is, as this like mid to low tier 4-wheel drive center tire car. It's so good. But then again, as you saw in the comparison, it does not hold a candle to the best cars in the game unless it's slalom. But the only issue is that the moment I put in the Caterham is going to beat everything else on the slalom anyway. So the Caterham is still the better, cheap option to use, but the 2.5 turbo all-wheel drive is still strong. So yeah, maybe I shouldn't put it in Der Kaiser. Yeah, I'm going to move it down to daily drive. It's a bit sad because like I had a lot of high hopes for this car. It looked really, really good, and it is. But the main competitor for this car, even though it's not even 4-wheel drive, is the Caterham. And the Caterham is, I mean, we'll show it to you right now because here's the thing. Here's the issue. The best thing about this 2.5 is that slalom time. That's what differentiates itself from everything here in the higher up competition. But the moment I bring in the Caterham, right, as you can see, boom, it's just the better car for the slalom. Literally just a slalom. If I were to take everything else away, actually this would be pretty interesting. You know, if I'm going to go head to head with just the Caterham, you know, this would be the if I dictate whether the Mazda would be Der Kaiser or not. If it can go blow for blow with the Caterham, then I'll give it Der Kaiser because the Caterham is definitely Der Kaiser anyway. Okay. There you go. I mean, the Caterham definitely is just a one scenario thing, and that definitely is slalom, okay? So, yeah, all right, cool. Like, I'm glad that I made that comparison. I'm going to bring it back up. Wow, that was a roller coaster, wasn't it? Okay, moving on. We got these two over here. Again, just not as good. Just not as good. They just don't handle as well. I'm going to move these two down to frequent provider. Actually, 76, 75, just not good enough. Anyway, moving on. The Mazda RX-7 Evo. I'm moving this to Der Kaiser for now. I have a lot of high hopes for this car because it's got insane MRA. It's really, really good. 84 MRA, handles well, and the 0 to 60 is relatively low. So I'm gonna give it to the Kaiser for now, but that might change in the future. But I really, really want that car. Now, moving on, we have the other off-road tires, the Pyro and the Outlander. Again, they handle pretty well. They actually handle better than the Moab, but I'm gonna put all of them together because the Moab remains competitive compared to these two because of that massive 0 to 60 difference. I think if like this was 6.5, then this would be like the worst car out of the three. But because the 0 to 60 difference is massive, like we're talking like almost 2 seconds, then yeah, it's able to remain competitive ever so slightly with these two cars, even though it has 2 less handling. All of them are very strong though. You can't go wrong with them. They're really, really good pulls. Now the Pyro Evolution 2+2, hot garbage. I'm sorry. That's like the worst thing that you can get. Like, honestly, that's the most disappointing thing you can get from the pack. And then we have the what is this called? I can't remember what it's called. I can't even look at it. Pumpkin? Mitsubishi Pumpkin? Wait, let me look at Top Drive's records. The Pro Dia. I've never heard of that one before. Pumpkin. We'll call it Pumpkin. It doesn't even look like a pumpkin. 8C4 handling, you know, 4-wheel drive standard. Can't go wrong. Frequent provider, sure. Then we hit up the legendaries. Every single legendary is their Kaiser. The legendaries is truly what makes this pack, because every single update that we get has, you know, something that it stands out with. You know, even the weaker updates like Learn the Savannah Way, at least they brought a bunch of utes and pickup trucks and a little bit of muscle cars, right? But for the most part, like, every single update has something that changes the meta, right? Pacific Coast Highway, it brought dragsters for the epics and below. World Expo kind of just destroyed everything. Like, it brought everything. World Expo was the meta. But their Kaiser, I smell something. Did my dog poop? Hi, are you okay? Oh, I thought my dog pooped for a second. I smelled something weird. Nah, she's good. She's good. She's so cute. She's sleeping. So I don't want to bring her on for the video. But like I said, every update has something that defines that update. And for APGP, what defines this update is 4-wheel drive standard tire cars and 4-wheel drive off-road tire cars. And that's why I think this pack is absolutely amazing, because no matter what legend you get, you cannot go wrong. It is impossible. You cannot go wrong. And you know, you are getting literally a blossom choice with whatever legend pull that you get. Obviously, there are cars that's slightly better than the other, like this Evo is slightly better than this Evo, and you know, this Evo is slightly better than this Evo, but at the end of the day, it's potato. These are the best in class. I mean, these are non-prize cars, and these are cars that you would probably expect to be prize cars. Not to mention that a lot of these cars, they're MRAs, the 4-wheel drive off-road ones, the WRC boys, they're like 98, 99, 100, like, it's insane. It's ridiculous how strong these cars can be. I would say that the weakest car here actually is the Hyundai Ascent, because it handles the worst out of all the off-road tire cars, but it really doesn't matter. Why is it the highest RQ? Because it has high ground clearance, when everything else is either medium or low. I think they're all medium. I don't think there are any low. So it's either medium, so that's high, so that's like your motocross hill climb car. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today. Really, like, I don't think we'll see a pack as good as this if you're just looking for a game changer car. Don't even think about the Tri-Series prize car for a second. Just think about these off-road tire cars. Think about these 4-wheel drive standard tire cars. These are meta defining. These are meta breaking. These are legendaries that you should max blossom choice. Like, honestly, if I could, I would blossom choice every single legendary in this pack. That's how good they are. So anyway, guys, if you want to open the pack, I would say go for it. I don't know when we'll see an opportunity as good as this. Obviously, there are some pretty decent legendary performance tire cars on this update, but it's nothing that no other update can rival. You know what I mean? Like, other updates have slick tire road drive cars that are really, really good, but no other update has brought 4-wheel drive off-road tire cars that are as potent and as strong and are considered non-prize cars. No update can rival what APGP has brought to the table. So if you want you know, just a meta defining car, open the pack and pray to God that you get a legendary, because if you do, getting any legend is just your money back. I would honestly pay $100 just for one of those, genuinely. Like, it's, if I had to price them, seriously, they are amazing. But anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for today. I hope you guys have a great day. Remember to stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Good luck in the final. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
sit back, relax in my Bonneville Pontiac. Hold